All right, let's get started. Today's workshop is how to get your acceptance letter using my 3-step college application framework. Okay, and obviously this works for all types of students, whether you have mediocre GPA, straight A's, it doesn't matter, right? Because this system just applies to all the college applications and essays. So let's dive in. Okay. Let's do a little quick check-in before we get started. You decided to attend this workshop today because you want practical strategies for college essays and applications. You're also here this evening because you want ideas on how to make your child's college application stand out, just based on what your child has done so far, right? Because, there's nothing that we can change at this point. Application season has officially started, and so there's not much that we can add, okay? You're also in the right place if you simply want a better understanding of the college application process, because there's just so many strategies and tips on how to write your essays, how to fill out the Common App. And so I'm here to give you that clarity more than anything. Okay, that's why you're here. And lastly, you want your child to get accepted, right? And you don't, your son or daughter probably worked really hard in the past 3-4 years, right? And you don't want that to go to waste. So you're obviously here to get the real strategies that's going to get your child accepted. And that's the entire goal for this workshop. And this is not for someone who already thinks they know so much about college app process that, we definitely don't want that negativity. This is not for someone who is going to be not respectful of this free workshop. And this is not for someone who's going to take all the free information and become super upset when I share additional ways for me to help you out at the end of the training, because you're going to get a ton of value from this training. And if you want more, I'm going to share how I can help you with that. Okay. So let's take a look at a couple of common mistakes with essays and applications. I've been doing this for a really long time. And when I first, look through my students' application and they send me their first draft, sometimes I want to scream, or I want to, I don't know, it just horrifies me that if you did submit it this way, what would have happened, right? So first one is list, list, and list. What I mean by that is students are, obviously really proud of their accomplishments and their academic records. And so they focus their energy on, all right, I did so much and I want them to see me that I did so much. So in their essays, in their recommendation letter brag sheet, in their common application activity section, all they're doing is just listing and listing to show the quantity aspect, right? We definitely don't want to do that. And I'm going to show you how not to do that this workshop. Okay. And the second thing that students most do, which is a huge mistake, is they're either complaining about their circumstances or their situation, with the attitude of poor me, right? And that's definitely something that we don't want to convey to in the essays and in the applications. And then on the other hand, students are just bragging about all of their accomplishments and contests and everything like that, right? So most students say things like, well, yeah, okay, I get it. I shouldn't be complaining. I shouldn't be bragging. Then how do I, deliver what I've done so far? That's what I'm going to talk about as well. And third, trying too hard to be creative. So they'll say, there was an essay, he just wrote about this. His entire essay was about the color pink. So should I write about color yellow? Or should I write about something that's really creative, that's going to stand out? If that's not your intended purpose, and if that's not coming from your creative side and it's not really coming from within, no, you shouldn't try too hard to be creative, because this is not a creative writing contest, okay? So those are the 3 common mistakes that's really going to hurt your child. So let's make sure that they don't make that mistake, okay? And obviously you're here because of these 2 following reasons. We don't have time. So, all right, Julie, give me the strategies. Tell me what I have to do. Well, how should we approach this process? And you're also here because you want proven strategies. So these slides that I'm going to show you today, these are not something that I just piled up, within a few days saying, all right, I'm going to host this workshop. No, these are real stories, real case studies, real results. And I'm here to tell you that these are proven strategies, and that's why you're here. Before we really get into the essays and Common App aspect, I just want to touch a quick base on what the industry is looking like. This is a Ivy League admission chart, class of 2021, 2 years ago, right? So This stat shows us that so many students are applying, yet so little are getting accepted. And you're obviously thinking, okay, Julie, well, duh, I know they're hard to get accepted into. I'm showing you this chart to let you know that this pattern is happening throughout most and all of the colleges. And the reason for that is because a lot of students are applying with the efficiency of and technology of Common Application Platform. So this is not only happening with Ivy Leagues, but it's happening with most of the top 50, top 100 colleges in the United States. And obviously, this is a Business Insider article that was published in 2017, where they talk about how even if you have the perfect SAT scores, and even if you have the top 5% GPA, he was still rejected. The student was still rejected. And this is something that we see really often, right? And the reason why I'm hosting this workshop is letting you know that GPA scores and resume, top 5% is not the end of the story. They will not guarantee you admission to your dream college. And so what can we do at this point? And then obviously, I've shown this chart to a couple of my current students as well as my past webinars that I did. But this just goes to show the most recent data for University of Southern California, where their acceptance rate in 2018 was 13%. And to combat this, people are like, oh my gosh, we need a college consultant. How do we make sure that we beat this competition? And the thing is, students are still getting rejected. And so where is the disconnect? Who is getting accepted and who is getting rejected? And what are they doing differently? And I guess the question is, who is getting rejected, right? And so what's really going on with college consulting programs, as well as the way that students are approaching the college application and essay process, is kids are just focusing on the surface level aspects, even when they write their essay. So they'll say, all right, I volunteered here, so that should be good enough. I went to the summer camp, so that should be good enough. I have good SAT, ACT scores, so that should be good enough. And I'm a leader, so that's good, right? This is the trap that's not going to get you the acceptance letter, because obviously these are things that you can all see. But what colleges really want to see here, which is actually something that actually we can't, obviously see it in a resume or whatnot, but they want to see that you're exploring your major because you really want to. So in your essays, you want to highlight that you didn't just go to this camp for the sake of going, but you really went for it because of so-and-so reason, right? So you want it to be in a storytelling format. You want to talk about how, yeah, maybe you did create a passion project, but you did it because of so-and-so reason, right? So you want to express your reasons in a very, very clear way. You could also talk about many other things that you worked on, but obviously for the college application and essay workshop, I just want to focus on these two parts. You need to show the why, and you need to connect, why this happened and why you decided to do such a thing. And I'll give you a lot more examples in the slide. And, we talk about how, okay, colleges want students who are really passionate. And here's what Angela Duckworth says about passion. I don't think most young people need encouragement to follow their passion. Most would do exactly that in a heartbeat if only they had a passion in the first place. So most students would write things like this in their essay. I am passionate about this and that, and so that's why I did that. What they want to know is, how did you get to that passion, right? So obviously it's not something that you woke up to one day and you said, oh my gosh, I'm so passionate about fashion. I'm so passionate about education. They want to see the journey that you took so that college admission committees see what kind of a person you are and what kind of work ethic you hold and what kind of character you hold, right? So it's not about you saying I have passion. And write this down if you have a paper out in front of you. Please do not use the word passion in your essays. Don't say I'm passionate about something. Just show them how you went about that passion. That's it. Okay? So my goal for this training is to guide you through a proven system so that you know exactly what to do, how to write the essays, what to add, what to eliminate, and all that good stuff. And I know this because I work with so many students and our acceptance rate is always high. I'm not saying that I have like this special secret sauce, which I'm telling you now in this workshop, but we move through this process in a very authentic way. It's not about, okay, let's get into Stanford, let's get into MIT, no matter what. We use a strategy that really demonstrates your child in an authentic manner, and that is what makes them stand out, right? And that's why I know this. And for those of you who don't know me, I know I have a lot of parents here who are already my clients and students, but I know there are couple of new folks here. So my name is Julie Kim, and I help students get accepted into their dream colleges while identifying their interest and passion. And we use that to be embedded into their college essays and applications. And just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I went to UCLA, and I was miserable and unhappy and unfulfilled because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I just navigated through this process thinking if I get accepted into the best college with the best major, then I'm set for life. Well, obviously that wasn't the case. And so I went through my mindset work, did a lot of things, experienced a lot. And as a result, I transferred to University of Southern California, Marshall School of Business, and then continued my graduate studies at Harvard Education. And so I'm showing you this because obviously you're not here to learn about my story, to let you know that when we work through college applications, when we are creating a college list, we want to make sure that these colleges offer what you want. And then obviously that comes to us thinking, what do you want, right? What is it that you want to get out of this college? And what is it that is important to you? So that research is really important because you need to do that anyway for supplemental essays, okay? So just wanting to share the story as to why I do the work that I do, and let's begin. I talk about this a lot, and I was thinking, should I just get rid of this step, or should I just talk about common application all day long? And I decided to keep it because this is what is actually going to get you accepted. This is the core area that begins your your child's essay and everything like that. And when I do brainstorming sessions with my seniors, we write down everything. We write down all the brainstorming notes and specific details, but on the very top of our Google Doc, we always keep a running record of what are your values, right? So that we can focus on them throughout the entire essay, and it's not just like you listing all of your accomplishments. So a couple of things that, I'm just gonna go through this pretty quickly, but the ways that you can identify your child's values if you don't have one yet, and because you need to find one for the essays, is start thinking about these 4 questions. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need more of? And what can you get paid for? That's a couple of ways for you to start identifying, all right, yeah, like I've done so much. I've done this. I've done dancing. I've done singing. I've done art projects. I've done so much. And you want to write all of that down in a piece of paper and answer these questions. And when you answer these questions, you'll get an idea of what values really led you to these activities, right? And so this is a great way for you to identify that, so that using the value, you can write your essays, okay? And I mean, these are all the things that should have been done by now, but the reason why taking action, okay, so how do you find value? And the answer is you have to take action. So why is action so important in college essays? It's because you can't just say, I went to volunteering at this hospital and I did 500 hours and I'm passionate about this. That's a horrible, horrible way to write it. I've seen so many students go about this. If you take more action, and if you identify what action steps you took, there's so much more to write about in your essay. And one of the components, one of the figurative languages that are really used in most of college essays is imagery, right? So if you're just saying, I attended this, I did dance, I did pre-med stuff, I did that, and you don't really get us immersed into your story, it's not going to appeal to college committees no matter what you did and how long you did it for. So any opportunities and experiences that you've accumulated, even if it's really little, and even if it's just like sending out a quick email to someone, that's really powerful because it shows the colleges, wow, this student actually did this and that, and it really shows that he is he takes action, or she takes action, and she takes initiative, right? So whatever opportunities and experience you've dealt with and experienced, you want to start jotting them down so that they can be embedded into your essays, okay? Obviously, the second part here is stepping outside of your comfort zone. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so it's to step outside of your comfort zone, and they want to see you step outside of your comfort zone because in every essay, they want to see growth, okay? It's not just like you telling your journey so far and like, let that be. You want to let them know that you challenge yourself little by little, so make sure that this component is included, okay? And then the last one is create networks with professionals to see what's beyond your imagination. So let me tell you why this is so important in college essays. If you reach out to professionals or students who are already in your during college and you just really get the third person perspective, you know exactly what colleges are looking for as well, right? So what you see on the school website and what you see inside the student, blogs and etc., those are all monitored by the school. So you want to see, let's say you're really interested in Duke. Okay, I have one. So let's say you're really interested in Duke. You want to reach out to people who went to Duke. You want to reach out to people who are studying at Duke. Whatever you can. And I actually have my students use LinkedIn to do this. So that they can really get on a Skype call and whatnot, right? I've also had a student apply to Dartmouth last year. And what she did was we did all this outreach work during the application, like before the application season. And she actually was able to get on a 30-minute Skype call with the anthropology professor at Dartmouth, right? So when you get that information, it's so much easier for you to get an idea of what they're looking for, what they focus on, what their values are, so that when it comes to writing your supplemental essays, it's so much more descriptive and it looks like you did a lot of research, and which you did, I've had a student write a supplemental essay and he was writing it for NYU, and guess what he wrote? He says, the question was, why NYU, right? And then he said, I want to attend NYU because I love the city. Right? You would not, these things do happen, right? They'll say things like, I want to attend Georgetown because it has a beautiful campus. No, that's not your reason. Although it could be, a secondary or, third reason, but come on, right? So that's why doing networking or, right now should be a time when you're doing a lot of outreaching and networking, okay? So I'm mentioning this and I'm talking about this because I'm not just here to help students get accepted into the dream colleges and say, all right, good luck with the rest of your life. Why are we only talking about college? What about after college? Is college your final destination? No. And the thing is, this is what colleges are looking for too. They want students who think beyond college, right? They want students who know exactly how they're going to utilize their school and their major and their department. And that's what they're looking for, right? So if you're all saying, I love the school and that's all I care about, it doesn't show any potential. It doesn't show that you are, able to think big, right? And so these are questions that college admission committees are looking for as well. And here's another thing. I know your child is already done with most of the activities, but I mentioned this because what is the point of doing so many activities, right? Just because you want to fill up the college application, if in your college application and in your child's essays, they're not demonstrating how much fun they had, right? How motivated they were, how fulfilled they were, how interested and fascinated and challenged they were. If they don't see this tone in their essays, it sounds like you're just reporting to them. Right? That's why this needs to be in a storytelling format. How can I see that you're interested in this project that you did? How can I see that you had a lot of fun, right? Show us your character, show us your personality, right? So what's the point of doing so much if this is not going to be showing up on your essays and your college application? And let me show you the common data set for UPenn here. This is from 2017 and 2018. Colleges are looking for passionate students, okay? And like I mentioned, they don't want students to just say they're passionate. They want to see how you became passionate. Right? So this is the common data set for UPenn. And obviously you see that they are, obviously academic aspect is so important, but look at what is also considered important, character and personal qualities. It doesn't matter if you volunteered and went on a contest and did all this and that. If you're competing with these applicants and if your character and your personal quality doesn't show through, most likely not going to be an acceptance letter. That's why you hear stories like, oh my gosh, this student had the best GPA and SAT scores and he still got rejected. You should convey your character and personal qualities in your essays and in your supplemental essays and in your brag sheets and in your activity section. Did you do that? Right? So you want to make sure that so no point of doing extracurricular activities. And by that, by no point, I mean no point of adding that into your application if they can't really see why you did it and what values led you there. In this case, character and personal qualities right here. All right. And so I want to share Cindy's story. I'm just going to go through this really quickly because I have a lot more case studies. But Cindy says, when I feel like I'm a mess, I know exactly where to go back to. And that's the value stuff that I'm talking about, right? So Cindy would say things like, oh my gosh, Julie, like, you know, my friends are doing this and that, or people are creating this and that, but I don't know if I should do that because I feel like, you know, can I really, it's like, is my application good enough? And if you have your value set in stone, and when you know what makes, you know, what action steps you take and why you do, then it's so easy for you to say no to different activities. And even in your essays, you know, you're writing about 1 to 2 few activities, but it is so powerful because you know exactly where to go back to. What is your value? And I'm going to give some examples about that. But you might say things like, okay, Julie, my kids don't like, you know, they don't talk to me about their personal lives and preferences anymore. So how are we going to make sure that, you know, whatever they're valuable about, their character personality will be shown through in the essay? Right? And it's shown through the essay if you write about it in a storytelling format, right? And at the same time, you want to show you want to add a lot of imagery, you want to add a lot of details, and you want to be vulnerable. And so when students are doing brainstorming for their essay, I usually don't have parents stay with us. And that's because, you know, I want my students to be able to say whatever they want, write whatever they want. Obviously, I am going to control it, but when students are writing their essays, please do not, you know, go up to their, like, I don't know, like, don't try to control too much about what they write. This could happen so much. And so when, you know, you don't want to go inside their Google Doc without their permission. You want to just trust them and trust this process, because if you start to add comments and say this and that, the authenticity just is not there anymore, right? Second, what if my child is not interested and not passionate, right? So at this point, you're kind of like, all right, we've done the most that we could do, and we are not really seeing that my child is passionate. And yeah, like, not everyone has to be passionate, but you can at least mention how much you tried and what action steps you took so far, right? So you can say something like in your essay, you know, I started off not being interested in anything, and because of A, B, and C, I started to sort of be interested in this, but you know, my passion and, you know, whatever I need to feel is still not there. And I'm, you know, still continuously trying. And if I were to get accepted into this college ABC, then that's a place where I will definitely utilize ABC to, you know, strive in your college and find what is my true calling, right? So many parents and students think, all right, I need to show that I'm passionate. Well, honestly, in all honesty, if you are not like truly like crazily passionate about something, that's okay, as long as you mention the action steps that you took and what you're doing now, right? So just keep that in mind, because I feel like when students think this way, their essay ends up becoming really, really superficial, because they're like trying to squeeze this in somehow, and it's just, you know, not good. And I've had a lot of students, you know, apply to colleges and write their essays mentioning, you know, they did this and that, but they're still looking for more, and they've gotten accepted just like my students who were passionate, right? So you just want to show them the action steps. That's it. All right, so I want to talk about the way that okay, so for Jesse's story, this is really amazing, because so many parents think, well, my child's interest, can we write about that in our college essay? Because, you know, it's not something academic, and we just feel like we need to write about what's academic. No, that's not true. So, and let me tell you about Jesse's story. So before, he had 3A and 3Bs, and he actually had 1C as well. He attended a general summer program that were at a price about $4,000, $5,000, including flights and, you know, boarding costs and etc. And one of the things that he was struggling with was he didn't know what to do. He was really interested in Johns Hopkins, but he didn't know how to go about that process. And he didn't even know why he was interested, to be honest. He just was, because he went there for the CTY program when he was really young. Okay, so after he raised his GPA, so after working with me and after going through the mindset work and after going through all of the, you know, passion project ideas, he raised his GPA by, you know, 5 straight A's, and then he had 1B in AP Chem. And then what he ended up doing was this. So Jesse loved basketball, right? So his concern and his mom's concern was like, okay, can we talk about basketball? Can we even do anything with it? I said, yes, of course. If that's what you love, you can do it. Why do you want to lie and say you're not interested when you are, right? And so what I had Jesse do was he connected with a professional via LinkedIn and worked on statistical projects using our software. Right? And so he contacted a data analyst at ESPN and we looked him up and we did a little stalking, but he got a hold of him and they talked and he said, do this statistical project and do that. So he gave him a lot of recommendations and suggestions, right? So do you see how his interest turned into something so academic and so professional, right? And he only focused on what made him happy, which was statistics, basketball, and ESPN. And he got a 5 on his AP stats exam. And so the reason why I'm showing you this is because this after box right here, that's actually what you're going to be using for his essay, right? So this is going to be his backstory and this is going to be his action steps and the results, right? So he was like this and then now he's like this. And what you want to include in the middle right here is all the action steps that he took to get to here. So this is going to be the perfect essay brainstorming chart. So you want to maybe create a piece of paper and say before and after and see, what changed and what transformed and what improved, and then fill in what are the action steps that you took. And this could be a great way to start your college essay, especially the common application. All right, let's move on to action step 2, which is make decisions that align with your values so that you get the best results, which means you get accepted and do what you enjoy. So I created this chart because this is how colleges look at you as well. So they break it down into academic and non-academic, and then they identify what is a value or character or personal qualities that guided you to do all of these activities, right? So I'm just showing you this chart so that you get the big picture because we're so caught up in the little things, right? Like, oh my gosh, we need to write this and write that. But first you start writing and creating your drafts. Think about this big picture first and fill in the boxes so that your story becomes like a storyline, right? So Okay. So that's the chart. So let me give you a couple of examples of my current students right now. And for Malavika, her value is, I value debates and challenging discussions that are pertinent to our society and my own set of values. So what she's doing now is she's creating an empowering and progressive movement on gender race, utilizing blog posts, nonprofit organizations, and Instagram. She's reaching out to professionals and magazines to get featured, as well as pitching to be a guest on a podcast. Right? So this action step is what's going to go into the last paragraph of your common application essay. We call it the golden essay. Okay. So this is the value that you hold, and this is one of the action steps that you took, and this should be in paragraph 5 of your essay. Okay. Varun, he's amazing. So I want to give back to my elementary school teachers and community because they shaped me into a person I am today. He's creating so for his action, he's already created an outdoor classroom last year. And this summer, what he's doing is he's implementing an inquiry-based technology system researched by Stanford Graduate School of Education, teaching students about astronomy, physics, mechanical systems, and much more. So many students registered and 5 teachers are trying to help him out. And now there's a wait list going on. So his value is he wants to give back because he's gotten so much support as a elementary school student. And so this is a value that's going to be shown throughout his essay. And then paragraph 5, he's going to write about this action step as one of them, not all of them. And Irina and Rachel, they both value and appreciate art as well as the environment. And what they're actually doing this tomorrow. They're hosting an impromptu free art and DIY class at Griffith Park using recyclable materials, water bottles, newspaper, etc. And so this is one of the paragraphs that will go inside their college application. Are you guys getting the point here? Let's share one more. Lauren, I believe in the power of education and serving others. She's been doing this for 2 to 3 months. Action. She's using Harvard Elementary School curriculum to host weekly tutoring sessions at a local library, taking 4 students per session and currently waitlisting students because they've only done it for 2 months, but it's getting really popular among parents, right? And so this is going to be her value that's going to be guiding through all of her activities. And then one of the action steps is going to be this one. Is going to go under paragraph 5 of her main common application essay. And this is the picture that they sent me they posted this on their Facebook, and this is them actually teaching the kids, which is amazing because look at the real impact that these kids are making. And this real impact is what you want to embed inside your application and your essay. I'm going to skip this one because we don't have time. So this sounds great, but we're just not sure if this is the right way to approach college admission process. It is the right way to approach because look at this graph. This is what college admission committees use to drop or accept. So this is the right way to approach it. Without this, it's not going to work, okay? How can we add this value inside the college essays? I just mentioned that you want to embed it as one of your action steps that you took, so that it shows that you are, you are taking action and you're doing that. And do you see how like the details that I mentioned here are like really specific? And it should be actually even more specific than this, but for the presentation's sake, right? So you want to say how many kids show up, what they learn, what they went through. So you want it to be as descriptive as possible so that they are getting an idea as to what your child did, instead of just saying, I went to this, I did this, I did that, okay? So that's how you would add the value. And if you think about it, doing it this way is not more work. It's actually less, because you're focusing on what matters to your child and what values your child wants to convey. Because if you're listing all the activities that your child has done so far, everyone else is doing that too. So how are you going to stand out? Right? So that's the question. This is not more work. It's actually doing less, because you just focus on what's important to you and you're addressing that in your essay. It's only July 13th. So if you think your child needs to work on some sort of a passion project or do something or add something, there's definitely time to do so. Victoria's transformation is one of my favorite ones. So before volunteering at Senior Center, attended biochem, helped out at our CPA office, and joined a lot of clubs. And then afterwards, volunteering as a reading tutor. And after that, she realized, oh my gosh, these kids are struggling to do math questions because they can't read and write. And so she took certified classes on child development, literacy skills. She also took a class on academic vocabulary. And then she created a passion project that created a club for math tutoring, etc. This is the common application essay outline. You don't need to try to create something creative, because everything has already been done for you. So you want to, again, lay this out. This is exactly what she's going to address in her essays, as well as before. So this is going to be her backstory. This is going to be her result and transformation. Okay. And then in between, like I said, you want to mention all the action steps that you took. All right, so the last action step is to package your child's story in a way that stands out and is authentic. So here's where a lot of mistakes happen. Like I mentioned, listing activities and accomplishments without addressing the why in the application, and unable to connect the dots. And I'm going to show you an example. So this is what colleges want to see in the essay. Okay, and this is just a brainstorming note that I do with my seniors. So example, started volunteering as a reading volunteer and realized literacy is an important issue. And then, so that she could be an expert in this field and really help out, she took 2 classes related to academic vocabulary words and education research methods. Okay, and then once she took those classes, she created a program for 3rd and 5th graders. And then she created a podcast on whatever topic she wanted to talk about to spread awareness about whatever she wanted to talk about. So she is becoming an expert. She realizes why that happened. And for her, realizing literacy is an important issue, she's definitely going to write more about that, right? Like how it happened. So for instance, she could write about how, all right, so when I first went into the class, I thought it would be an easy peasy volunteering thing where I just babysit students, but she realized that students didn't know how to even use some of the academic vocabulary. So how are they supposed to solve these math questions? So that's how detailed your essay needs to be, okay? And then from this, the value comes out: confidence, making an impact, being a leader, and more to learn and ready to expand. So this area right here, one of them could be her value and character, right? And another thing is, when students are doing something like this and they have this on their resume, when they have this on their resume, it's easy to just like list. And one way that you could avoid that is really open up get a Post-it and write down what your value and your character is, and keep looking at that word when you're writing your essay, so that you're not just giving them a narrative, right? Obviously, you don't want this to just be a story. You need to convey what kind of person you are. That's what they want to know, right? So I encourage you to take out a Post-it, write your value and character if you can identify it, and then use that to guide you through the brainstorming sessions, okay? And like I said, this is a perfect common application essay value, okay? And as well as an outline. So let's take a look. Let's think about, let's say this is your child's resume. Awesome grades, awesome SAT, blah, blah, blah. Leadership, did this, went to this camp, blah, blah, blah. If these activities are not authentic and only to-do list accomplishments, do you think they will be impressed by this, right? So this is a perfect example of how listing can go wrong and bragging can go wrong and how just listing as much as possible could go wrong, right? There needs to be a connection. This happened because this happened, and then this happened because this happened, and then this happened, and then I decided to do this, and then after that I decided to do that. It needs to be a story. At the same time, conveying your values. Okay? Instead, they want to accept students who can answer these questions with passion. And by that, I'm saying this because you know what? These are questions that are in the supplemental essays. These are questions that they will ask you on, when you are in an interview, right? So that's why, making sure that you can answer this question is so important. And, don't try to just open up a Google Doc and start writing your essays. First, be crystal clear and honest with yourself about these questions and answer them. Answer them in a Google Doc, answer them via audio. I don't know, do something to make sure that this is all done and ready to go before you jump into your draft number 1. Otherwise, you're just going to be writing, hoping that like this is good enough, and we don't want to move through this with the fear-based tactic. Okay? So here's just a wrap up of the 3 action steps I just talked about quickly. We don't have time. Identify your values and think about all the things you've done. Open up your resume, look into all the passion projects you did, and identify your value. What guided you here? What guided you to different activities that you've done? And based on that, you want to make decisions that align with your values so that your child gets best results. And by decisions, I mean now that's what you want to embed into your essay. Okay. And then package your child's story in a way that stands out and is authentic. And by authentic, I'm talking about, just go back really quickly. I'm talking about this. This is authentic. This is real. This comes from experimenting. This comes from failure. This comes from trying hard despite setbacks. That's an authentic essay. Okay. So let me just go back to where I was. And so here's a wrap up of how you can maximize your essay outline and how you can fill out your common application. And common application activity section should really also show imagery and let us know exactly what you did so that, college admission committees are not trying to like guess what you did. So students think that when they write something, it's just really easy for others to understand. That's far from the truth. You want it to be descriptive, and that's why I was talking about imagery, because you want to embed that into your common application activity section as well, okay? Obviously, answering the why question is not going to be in your common app application because that should be embedded in your main college essay. So I just want to let you know this, okay? Your child could be that 1% who submits college applications and essays that truly stand out, not because your child did anything fancy, expensive, or went to like different, countries and all of that crazy stuff, but in the essay and in the common application, your child is truly demonstrating expertise, passion, or in the pathway to finding passion, values, character, action steps, all the things that a lot of students overlook, right? So we need to be, some students start off with their essay thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't do much, so it's not going to be good enough. So what's the point of it all, right? So you definitely don't want that mindset to be there. And your child could be that 1%. And keep that in mind if you really show this in a storytelling, narrative, value-oriented format. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A box to do so. But the next step is, okay, let me just talk to you about this. Here's the truth. At this point, your child's a senior, son or daughter. You can try to figure out everything out on your own, but you might succeed or you might not. It's like gambling with your child's future, right? Because your child only has one shot at this. So I'm going to offer a free 45-minute session to talk about what you need to do to get it right, because we don't want the last 3-4 years to go to waste, right? We're going to go over any questions you might have. And then if we are a good fit to work together, we could talk about identifying interest, passion based on your child's current resume and transcript, because obviously there's not much that we can do, right? and how to brainstorm college essays and application strategies that will make your child stand out and really show that value and character that other students probably will not include because they get caught up in quantity over quality. Okay. And I want to make sure that it's a good use of our time. And I want to know that this is only for students who want to, stay away from just listing activities and hoping for the best. And this is definitely not for students who want to submit. I mean, who wants to do this, right? But this is for students who want to submit college essays that include passion and values and your unique character, because this is the only opportunity for you to stand out. You've already done GPA, you've already done SAT, you've done everything. So what is it that you need to include in your essay? That's what we're going to talk about. And so, I am running out of time, but these are a couple of testimonials. And one of the ones that I really want to talk about is this one. I want to talk about these two students specifically because these were my extreme cases. Okay, so if you take a look, he had 4.0 weighted, he had 1,405 AP classes, and this student also came in to work with me as a rising senior, so senior by the time, right? And he's already done everything. He went to China to do he was like an intern at a like a mobile technology company or something like that. But his work wasn't really immersive and it was just like a lot of mundane tasks. And we had to use that and change that around and make sure that, his values and his, academic interests really show and demonstrate through his essays and application. So we already had this all set up, right? There was nothing that I could do to help him raise his GPA, SAT scores, and 5 AP classes. And he got accepted into UIUC, right? So we think about what needs to be added, what needs to be taken out, what we need to focus on, what we need to add, right? So this only came from essays and application work. That's it. And we beat the statistics. We definitely did. And his major was comp sci. Next. This student also came in as a senior, and she had a 3.4 weighted, SAT score of 1340, and she only took a few AP classes, and she actually had a couple of C's in her transcript. She got accepted into Occidental College, a huge dream college for her. They had to withdraw all the applications because she did ED, and her mom was just confused that this actually happened. And here we beat the statistics with essay, with Common App. That's it. So if you are interested in the 45-minute strategy session to see if this is something that you need or this is something that you need help with, you could definitely go ahead and book that call. I'm going to end the workshop here. If you have any questions, you could go ahead and ask using Q&A. I know that I've been talking the whole time, so probably questions came up while I was giving you case studies and whatnot. So I'm going to open up this room for Q&A and answering any of your questions, and I'll stay on here for about 5 minutes or so. Thank you everyone for attending. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask me using the Q&A button. All right, so while we're waiting for questions, I guess we could talk about what's been trending these days, and that's definitely the SAT score that came out 2 days ago, right? The curve was the worst. I'm not sure if any of your kids took the SAT, the June one, and I don't know about your results, obviously, but oh my gosh, it was so bad. I'm hoping that the August one will be so much better because so many of my seniors are taking the August one as their last shot. So yeah, one of the questions that I got was, how can you strategize your essay so that, what should you talk about, right? Should I be talking about what I'm interested in, or should I be talking about my academics? And the answer to that is you want to talk about both. You want to embed both, because whatever you're interested in personally, that's still who you are, right? And so we definitely want that information to be included. And that's usually going to go in the beginning part of the essays, right? All right, so I'm going to stop recording, and then I think we will all be signing off. Let me just go ahead and